Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and in the Pokemon TCG, there are 3 different ways to win a game. The main way that almost every deck in the game tries to go for is taking 6 prizes, and this is done through the use of knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. It's just kind of how the game is supposed to work, because if you're familiar with the video game, which honestly I'm not that familiar with the video game, and also within, I think, the shows and stuff, you knock your opponent out 6 times, knock out 6 of their Pokemon, that's equivalent to 6 prize cards, more or less, so that's like the main way to win. But there are 2 other ways to win the game. The other way that you will sometimes see in games and in regular games is your opponent not having any Pokemon in play, so you knock out their only Pokemon, which is the active Pokemon. This isn't something that people really deck build around, except for one deck called Donk, which is honestly a little ambiguous about what it is. The other deck we're going to be talking about today is also kind of ambiguous, but Donk isn't really a deck thing. It's more so something that could happen if your opponent doesn't manage to set up, or you get a super aggressive start, or something like that. But then the third way is maybe the most interesting, but it's definitely unique, and that is your opponent running out of cards in their deck. Specifically, you lose the game if you are unable to draw a card at the beginning of your turn because your deck has no cards in it. If you run out in the middle of the turn, then that's fine, and actually some of these decks here might do that. I'm not sure. This is generally done through a few different ways. One way is by actively removing cards to your opponent's deck, which is called milling, which I believe is from Magic the Gathering. There's also control style decks. Control style decks, mill decks, then also stall decks and disruptive decks. These terms are kind of tossed around, honestly, kind of interchangeably. And as we'll see, there are different Pokemon that do different things, but are going to be across these different decks. And in different decks that function relatively differently, they have some similar cards as like win conditions. Because if you are doing something that stops your opponent from making progress, you can do that to kind of win, but obviously then you're kind of just tied, right? So you kind of want some way to deck them out there. But you have control decks, and decks generally have the idea of stopping like removing your opponent's resources from the board, such as removing their energies or doing something like removing cards in their hand. And then you also have stall decks. Stall decks are generally used to stop your opponent from attacking. Obviously, removing their resources also stops them from attacking, so there's a lot of overlap and gray area there. But these are Pokemon, the Pokemon that are stall Pokemon are cards like Mimikyu or something else that are walling. Walling and stalling, in my opinion, are pretty similar. As long as actually it can be used as a different term for like slow playing as well. That's not what we're talking about here. But you have Pokemon that stop your opponent from attacking by not taking damage or healing off all the damage. They still attack, but then you essentially undo their attack and things like that. You can also get a Pokemon stuck in the active spot. So today we're taking a look here on Pokecop Book, which I saw this, I don't know if it's article, but just a bunch of deck lists that are control decks, or this first one here is Wugtrio. And these decks are in, yeah, it looks like they are in the new format in Japan, the Mega Evolutions format, where we have Mega Symphonia and Mega Brave. These are the 2 new sets, which are at the beginning of the Mega Evolutions era. That being said, I don't know if all these decks here are the Mega Evolutions format, and also it doesn't matter that much. So presumably most of these, if not all of them, should be playable in Standard. This first one here is playing Lily's Determination, but it doesn't really matter here. It's just a draw supporter. I mean, it's good, but the rest of the deck still works. And we have the main Pokemon here, Wugtrio. Wugtrio is a card I've been playing some recently, not that much because it's not that good, but it's a card from Scarlet and Violet base set, which says for 3 color synergy here, you flip 3 coins. For each heads, discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. The issue with this card is it's kind of bad because it's kind of hard to power up through Colorless Energy on a stage 1. It generally isn't payable for a while, except for through Reversal Energy, which only works if you're down in prizes, and you can only play 4 copies in your deck. So that's an issue. But now with the new card from I think it's from White Flare. I clicked on the wrong set. Yeah, for White Flare, we have Ignition Energy, which is 3 colorless energy on an evolution Pokemon, and that's better than Reversal because you don't need to be down on prizes. I guess it does fall off at the end of the turn, but that's not really an issue because I mean, you only have 90 HP here anyway, so presumably you're not surviving an attack here. And then you use this attack, milling an average of 4.5 cards every turn, and you also have other disruptive cards here like Crushing Hammer, which gets rid of energy on a coin flip, 1 energy for one of your opponent's Pokemon of your choice on a coin flip, and then Neutralization Zone. There we go. I always forget the name of this card. It says prevent the damage done to your Pokemon that don't have a rule box, which is all your Pokemon here, by damage from your opponent's Pokemon EX or V, which are essentially the Pokemon with rule boxes. It cannot be recovered. Not that that like really matters, but it can't be recovered here, but you're going to be able to use this to theoretically just auto win against top decks, like all of them, honestly, except for the fact that one, they sometimes have counters. Some of those counters are very good, and it doesn't really matter that you're playing the stadium, and some of the counters are just okay, so they'll eventually get through. But two, most decks in the game are playing, a lot of decks at least are playing a stadium. Like you see Jamming Tower, we see Team Rocket's Watchtower. You see lots of different stadiums in lots of different decks. So a neutralization zone isn't necessarily staying in play, but it is a nice card here sometimes. We also see this stadium here, Practice Field. What is that card called? I don't know. Increases the no, not Practice Studio. Lively Stadium. There we go. Which increases the HP of basic Pokemon to play by 30 each, which is actually a really interesting tech option here. I haven't really seen it used in honestly that many decks. I mean, I've seen it in some decks that are all basics, but it's interesting here where you have a deck where you have Evolution Pokemon as the core, but you have these basics with 7 HP, of course, because you want to use Buddy Buddy Poppin, and this allows you to protect them better from your opponent's spread option. So that's really cool. We also do see Psyduck, which is a counter, a Japanese exclusive card at the moment, which is a counter to the Dusknoir line. This next list, pretty similar idea. We see a different ace spec. We actually see the supported Grusha, which is kind of fun. A lot of these decks are going to feature some kind of weird cards in them. You see some normal stuff like the Dunsparce, Very Normal, Shaman, UBX, Latias, EX. But then we see something like Grusha, which is a supporter. I believe it is draw till you have 8 cards in hand, or it's like 5. Yeah. Oh no, it's 5 or 7. So that's like not that good, honestly. And you only draw till you have 7 if you have no energies attached to your Pokemon. That was what I was thinking it is, but then I misread it. Anyways, yeah, this card is like okay. Draw till 7 is like fine. I mean, it's not a 4 in this list, and you're gonna have energies on the board sometimes, but not that often because, well, you will on ideally every turn, but ideally at the end of your every turn. So the idea is you can play Grusha and then you attach the energy afterwards. That being said, if you have the energy in your hand, then it's kind of messy. I mean, you're gonna draw 1 less card because you're not playing the energy, or sorry, 2 less cards because you're no 1 less because you're not playing it. But if you played it, you draw 2 less, so it doesn't really matter that much. But anyways, it's fine here. Kind of interesting inclusion. Also, Hilda, very good for some of these different decks here, specifically this one where you play evolutions and special energy, which you need to find because Hilda gets you a special energy, or sorry, any energy, but it can get special energy, so that's what it's specifically useful for. And then an evolution Pokemon as well from your deck, so that's pretty cool here. Also, we do see the Skwovet and UEX engine, which I haven't really seen much. I've seen a little bit, but that's kind of fun. I guess Tool Scrapper is good for control decks as well. Removing Air Balloon, which is, I guess, in a lot of decks here as well, which reduces retreat costs by 2 colorless energy, so it's better than Rescue Board by a bit, depends on the deck. But now it's being played over other switching options, so then if you're able to use Tool Scrapper, you can better stop your opponents from doing that. Also, Counter Catcher is very important to these different decks here. The mill decks, it's like meaningful here. We see 2 copies in this list, 4 copies in this other list here. Oh, we also see Gravity Gemstone to increase retreat costs, so that's the first like trapping Pokemon we see. But then Counter Catcher is super good because presumably you're going to be down on prizes like essentially the entire game, or at least a lot of it. And mill decks are a little different than the rest of the control decks, where mill decks aren't trying to slow your opponent down that much. They're trying to slow it down some. It kind of depends on the mill deck, but something like this isn't super disruptive, but then you're trying to win the game, as opposed to control decks, like normal control decks, like Pidgeot Control, which was pretty good for a while, which is mostly trying to not lose, and then you get yourself in a position where you're not going to lose, and then you can go and just like go infinite, like stop yourself from decking out, which isn't that hard to do. And your opponent hopefully doesn't do that. Like we do see Skwovet here. Skwovet, if you just use it, you'll never deck out unless your opponent's actively milling you. And at that point, you can just Skwovet over and over again, and then your opponent will deck out if you're not pressuring their resources, if they're just like stuck. And Counter Catcher, again, you're going to be the game's going to be longer in that situation, so you can be using cards like Counter Catcher or like Reversal Energy or something like that for a greater percentage of the game. Same thing with Iono. Iono is going to be better later in the game, and with a longer game of control, you're going to have more of the game in that later stage versus with something like Wugtrio, you're going to have a pretty, like, not exactly normal game, but you're going to have a game where you're working towards a win condition, not taking 6 prizes, but deck your opponent out. And you can, like, see yourself getting closer to that. Control, you don't really see that. You don't really see yourself getting closer to the win condition. You either hit it or you don't. And then win condition is, like, kind of moving as well. So anyways, what I'm saying is Counter Catcher is, like, good for these decks, but it's not necessarily as insane as it is in some other decks. We see another list. This one actually plays a Dragapult EX as like a tech within the Dracoloak engine and some other stuff here to deal with Pokemon. So we see Luxray and Dragapult EX, which are, I mean, Dragapult EX is just like good, right? But Lux right here is the Pokemon that you can use really just like once. You could use it twice, but you could use these attackers. You're really never going to be taking 6 prizes with them, but you can use them to deal with a certain threat. So if your opponent has I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe like Pekka EX. If they have Pekka EX, that's a big issue for you trying to trap something in the active. So then you can knock that out, and then you can kind of like trap something else after that. So you can deal with threats using something like Dragapult or Lux right here. Also, I didn't say what Gravity Gemstone does. I don't think it increases the retreat cost of both actives by 1 colorless, if you're not familiar. Now we have this next list here. This one's a bit like when I looked at an expanded video, I think yesterday, or maybe it's in the future, depending on my upload schedule. But LGM here is a really interesting card here. Honestly, this list as a whole is really interesting. Also, what is this order? Why is there a Wugtrio deck like after this as well? But we see LGM. LGM is a new how do I spell this card? LGM from Black Ball, which is a new basic here for once that you can move an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another of their Pokemon. We also see the new Prism energy and 2 copies of the Luminous energy, so making increased use of this energy of any type, like rainbow style energy. And this is useful because it moves energy across your opponent's board, but moves it off of a Pokemon where they want it to a Pokemon where they don't want it, which probably your opponent has. Like if they're playing something like let me find a Dragapult list. Like they got Pheasantipity EX, or Badoo, or like if they have Monkey Dory, you can just slap a bunch of energies on their Monkey Dory and they can get a little bit of value, but not like that much value. Or honestly, on like anything, if you put like 10 energies on a Dragapult, well, they're on 10 energies, but like a lot of them, then that's bad for them, right? They don't want 10 energies or like 5 energies on a Dragapult, so that is essentially removing them from the game with your attack there. We also see the what's this? Oh, Sudowoodo, the Ethan's Sudowoodo, which I have not played with. Also, why is my spelling so bad? But Ethan Sudowoodo here has 2 attacks. The second one is try to imitate, which you flip a coin and copy one of your opponent's attacks, active Pokemon's attacks there, and use this attack, which is like kind of funny. I have not used it. That's the attack that I thought was more meaningful or more interesting when it was revealed, and it has like some synergy with Ethan stuff, I guess. I don't think we'll see that yet. We don't see it in this list, but the more powerful attack, specifically within control, is Impound here, which keep in mind this Pokemon is fighting, which is very meaningful. But you do 20 for 1 fighting and stop your opponent's active from retreating. The issue with this style of game plan, stopping your opponent's Pokemon from retreating, you want to get something stuck in the active that can attack. So you need it to like not be able to attack at all. That being said, never mind. I was to say like you could Defiance Fest, but that's not on this list. But Ethan Sudowoodo does damage. Eventually, you'll knock that Pokemon out. And all Pokemon like this in the game do damage. You look at something like pre-rotation, pre the last rotation, we saw Wellspring as Ogre X used in that role with double turbo energy to reduce the damage you do. But you can't do that anymore because double turbo energy rotated. However, fighting type hits resistance on a bunch of decent Pokemon in the game, notably Squawkabilly EX, Mew EX, and Latias EX, I think are the main ones. Right, it hits resistance on Latias. Yeah, it looks like it does. So doing that is good. You can trap these Pokemon in the active. There's also Knackley, which does it. Knackley, it's a little bit different. I have not played with Ethan Sudowoodo and Control. I have played with Knackley. Not sure which one's better. Comment down below if you have played with them. How much, like, which one you think is better and why. I believe Knackley has 70 HP. However, it does have a higher retreat cost, which can be a substantial downside. Yeah, here, this Knackley, which, as I said, I played some and I've seen it played some. And so Knackley is a pretty similar idea and a very meaningful traffic Pokemon. Also, it does less damage. I've also played with Totodile, which has a similar game plan there. Though I don't think we'll be taking a look at that today. But Knackley does less damage if you're hitting into something like I was gonna say Pheasant. I'll say Pheasantipity EX. You do hit it for a weakness, so you're hitting 20 damage here versus you'd be doing 40 with Ethan Sudowoodo. Ethan Sudowoodo could trap it for 5 turns before knocking it out, and then Knackley could do that for 10 turns. So you want to be doing less damage, and this is doing no damage sometimes. The rest of these cards we have Shu EX is like a way to mill your opponent at the end of the game. And we see, Dedenne as well. Dedenne is a really solid card, in my opinion. Dedenne from Surging Sparks, I believe. Yeah, and it says for 1 color, so you put a trainer from your discard into your hand. Also 1 retreat, 70 HP. It has, like, perfect stats, essentially. I mean, I guess, like, if you had, like, 500 HP, that would be better than, like, 70. But for a Pokemon, 70 is really the sweet spot, because you can search it with Buddy Buddy Poffin. Though I guess in this list, it only plays 1. Honestly, this deck seems, like, kind of sketchy in terms of some of the cards it's playing. In terms of consistency, because Control, you want to have these longer games. So having setup cards, setup's a smaller portion of the game, so these cards aren't going to be usable or like good as long as the game. So you're kind of relying on playing less of them. Like we see 4 Arvents, and then which is good throughout the course of the game. But then you see Precious Trolley. Wait, yeah, that's what it's called, right? Uh, yeah, Precious Trolley. The reason I'm not sure why these cards are called is one, I'm like kind of tired, but two, it's because like LGM, not all these cards are out internationally, and so I look at cards before they are printed, and then they have translations which aren't always right. But Precious Trolley is like a main search form of Pokemon search in this list, which I find kind of sketchy. I also haven't talked about this card yet, but that's Exchange Ticket. Exchange Ticket. Oh, it's not called that. It's called Redeemable Ticket. It says you essentially take your prizes and then like swap them with the top cards of your deck. And so this gets cards out of the prizes. You see in these decks, you see a lot of one ofs. We saw it, I think, in one of these Wugtrio lists where honestly it seems kind of mediocre, but it is good for grabbing that Stadium Ace spec out of the deck. But then you see like so many one ofs in the deck that some are very important here. One Palpad honestly seems kind of sketchy because I feel like Palpad is very good for control. But something like Ethan Sudowoodo or honestly, even Sudo is a big one where it can be like a win condition, which you don't have access to outside of it. So you want to, or like Dedenne as well. These are cards that are very important Pokemon, and Redeemable Ticket can get them out of the prizes. In terms of trapping Pokemon, your opponent obviously will try not to put them into play. So you do have Accompanying Flute, which lets you look at, I believe, the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck, and that lets you put them onto your opponent's bench there, a basic Pokemon there, and then once they're on the bench, you can hopefully get them into the active using Gusting, like Boss's Orders or Counter Catcher, and then you do have Gravity Gemstones, you could use that, but then you have the Ethan Sudowoodo as well to hopefully be able to trap them so that they cannot retreat even if they get extra energies on. Because Gravity Gemstone is nice, but they eventually could retreat it. We also see healing. We got like Penny. We also have 0-6 Machinations and Areas, Hand Disruption there, and some different things as well. Some of the things are pretty normal, like Super Rod and Night Stretcher, but they are more important because you're playing more one-ofs as well. Then we see more Wugtrio. We see Wugtrio with Altaria. I've also not really played it with Altaria. I don't think. I mean, I haven't played that much Control. I used to play it a lot, and now I like don't really play it. But Altaria puts their points active to sleep, and it does. How much is it? 110. I know this has been played in Regidrago some as well, which like seems kind of bad. Oh yeah, it's not been played in it as much as I thought. Not that I thought it was played in that much, but you do 110 and you put your points active to sleep for Water Metal, which means that they can't attack or retreat next turn, which is obviously super good. And normally you need to flip 1 coin between turns to wake up, but with this Pokemon, they need to flip 2, so it's pretty good there. We also see. Honestly, nothing too crazy. We do see Maractus, a pretty good trapping Pokemon as well. Honestly, a very good trapping Pokemon. Maractus is a card that sees a lot of play in Standard. Honestly, one of my favorite cards in the TCG right now, I guess, because it's not a true trapping Pokemon. Trapping him forever. Corner, again, since they can't retreat, and also does 20 here. I mean, you could trap like Genesect DX forever, I guess, but I think you can attack with that in Goldengo, but it's pretty rough. But yeah, you have the Maractus here to trap, but you do 20, but you also have this ability where if you're if it's in the active and knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, then you put 6 damage guys on the attacking Pokemon. So you can do some extra damage if they're hitting into you. It reminds me of, I played Pocket a while ago. I don't really play it anymore because I don't know, I like the regular TCG more. But Dredgen was a Pokemon you just kind of leave in the active and get hit into. I thought the power level of Standard was too high for that, but Maractus is showing that this card can be nice if it has some extra utility, though it also has a higher retreat cost, so it is kind of vulnerable to being stuck. So you do have Air Balloon to get stuff out of the active, but still kind of sketchy. We also see Crispin, which is kind of interesting in this control style deck. We also see Iris's fighting Spirit here, which like lets you, it's like a draw supporter. There's a lot of like weird draw cards you'll kind of see in these decks here. Then we have this next deck. I don't think I've played this deck, but I definitely played against this deck, or a very similar list here. We got LGM, we got the Ethan's Sudowoodo, we got, lots of similar stuff. We have Ting-Lu EX, which is an ability lock Pokemon. We have Milotic, which stops your opponent from returning cards to their hand. I just looked at this bar on the side. We're definitely not going through all these decks today, unless they repeat like a lot. But then you have Ensora EX as well. You generally want good draw engines in your decks because, again, you're going to be having longer games. So if you have a strong draw engine throughout the course of the game, then that's meaningful for you. But then you also have that's more meaningful than a card like I don't know, like something that's like a one-time draw card, like I don't know. I can't think of any one-time draw cards. Like a Squawkabilly, but that's not like super bad either because it's very important to set up. But then you see, also like that's why you see a lot of supporters in control decks because you have longer games. We don't see like too many items. And as I said, less setup cards. But you do have Spidops X here, which increases retreat costs, kind of like Gravity Gemstone. We got Comfy as well, a funny little mill card, which is like okay, seems like kind of sketchy in the stack. Also, Loon Synergy over a basic Psychic. I feel like I guess it doesn't really matter, and it has like some value. Anyways, we see this next list here. This is like a, I guess, classic Pidgeot control. Again, some things we've talked about. We also see a bunch of Monkey Dories and Corso Master Pontiacs and Ting-Lu EX, which what it does is it ability locks Pokemon with why am I blanking? Oh, with damage counters on them on the bench that aren't EXs. So it's like kind of niche, but it can be nice here. I guess it's notably here from Monkey Dory, and it synergizes really well with Monkey Dory. I don't even think I've played Ting Lu EX with Monkey Dory. I'm not sure, but Monkey Dory in control is pretty interesting here because it's very different than in standard. We're using it to get extra like extra knockouts through the use or extra damage to like reach a knockout or take extra knockouts. You're not really doing that here. You could be taking knockouts, but you can use this to heal up, and it's like a very solid healing Pokemon. So you leave the Ethan Sudowoodo in the active, and then your opponents attack you with something like Squawkabilly EX here. You have Defiance Band, you have Monkey Dory, so you can be removing all the damage that they're doing to you. You also have Mimikyu here. Mimikyu with Bravery Charm or Hero Escape is a pretty solid Pokemon. It's immune to damage from EX. Honestly, a very good Pokemon. Also, with Luxor Escape, it is pretty good, I will say. We don't see that in this list, but I do think it's nice. But you have a Pokemon that's immune to EXs, damage from EXs, not damage counters or effects of attacks, but you can use Mist Energy to stop that. And then from there, also going to be able to use the Monkey Dory to heal off your damage, and then just be attacking your opponent and doing it like chipping away them slowly. Monkey Dory allows you to do that a little faster, which could be nice, but also allows you to spread out your opponent damage on your opponent's board, which you can use to theoretically take 6 prizes in one turn if you can build it up in the right way. Though that's kind of hard. And also it allows you to just stay alive, right? You need to stay alive. You need to protect your one Pokemon that you're really like kind of building around in that match. We don't see very much recovery in this list either, so that is like we only see like a decent amount. But and with Pidgeot EX you can hit it, but I mean you're not probably going to be getting knocked out that much with like the Pokemon you're recovering, because you'll probably be knocked out a lot before then as well. But then we see a another list. What is this Cubchoo? I don't know what this card does. I have not played with this card. Cubchoo here says, oh, okay, yeah, no, I do remember this card now. For 1 water, with the attack Snotted Up, what is that? It does 10, and then during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack at all, which is like kind of good. Honestly, it's pretty good. That sounds like super good. Stop your opponent from attacking, but they can just like retreat. If you're not familiar, you can remove effects of attacks, which are things like special. Well, no, I was gonna say like special conditions, which is like kind of true, but kind of different. But something that stops them from attacking, or do you want to say stops them from retreating, but the main one was stopping them from attacking, like with Miraidon EX or something as well. If you switch to the bench and move to the active, you can do that. Same thing with stopping you from retreating, but obviously at that point it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you have the Cubchoo here, and we see the Alomomola as well, a really cool card. If it's in the active, that you can recover a Pokemon with 7 HP or less onto your bench, which is a cool card I played in some control decks, and a big card I'm a big fan of from whichever side is fine. It's from Black Bolt or White Flare. I don't remember which one, and don't feel like looking it up. But I'm really surprised to see the amount of Ting-Lu EX. I guess it works very well with Monkey Dory. Also, Monkey Dory can be a problem, specifically for your opponent, and also like something like Frostos as well, because then your opponent's going to be able to target your Pokemon on your board. You can't really do much to stop them, so if you can turn them off, that's very important there. We see more Wugtrio. We got the Nacli making an appearance. This is like a true Alomomola control. I think I saw this a video like this on Control Players Unite, the YouTube channel, talking about 70 HP Pokemon control. You got Elgyem here. You got the Nacli. You have Dedenne for recovery. You got the Cubchoo. You also have the Shinx, which like is a Giant Bundle kind of. And you got some other stuff as well, some other just like general support Pokemon. But yeah, this deck is, I'd say, like a pretty normal control box deck, or like kind of, if you're looking at like what is control, something kind of like this. You got a weird gaggle of Pokemon, some kind of weird trainers, like Mortis Conviction's a bit of a weird supporter, not like super strong, but definitely something you will see in this style of deck. So you got these kind of weird cards like Gravity Gemstone, and you could see these in other cards, but or these cards in other decks, but you will see them as like very much important cards in a control style deck. And you don't have a clear win condition just like looking at this, and it kind of depends on the matchup, and it kind of wing it as you go along, in my opinion. So, and I play control. That's kind of how I'd play it. Kind of have to like play it by, not by ear, but something kind of like that. We got more Wugtrio. I'm just gonna kind of skip past the Wugtrio. We got whatever this is. This is like Dragapult. Frostless Monkey Dory with some like control aspects, but I'd say it's not like a full control deck. We got there's just so much Wugtrio. Wugtrio is legitimately like pretty solid here. Also, Pokemon League HQ increases attack cost of basics, kind of good in control, kind of bad because it like hurts you from attacking, but it is interesting. Also, handheld fan is an interesting tool, removing an opponent's energy from their active, moves it to one of their bench Pokemon, kind of like how LGM works, but it's on a tool, so that's pretty nice there as well. Then we see the Team Rocket's Jingling, which is a card that I also have not played. Team Rocket's Jingling is a baby Pokemon, and it says for free you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. And so it's like kind of cool, I guess. You also have the Team Rocket's Articuno to stop effective attacks done to Pokemon with the energy or something that are like Rockets Pokemon, maybe just all your basic Rockets Pokemon, which seems like very niche, but um, yeah, you have the Team Rockets Articuno, which is like kind of interesting. Okay, yeah, they don't need energy on them, so it just stops effective attacks done to your basic Team Rockets Pokemon. Effective attacks are not damage, so it's going to be stopping like Dragon Ball EX notably, so kind of interesting there. We see more like stuff that we kind of seen before. I don't think this is the same list we saw before, but pretty similar there. We also see this one with Bronzong and Noivern EX, which is a really interesting combo here with Frostless Munkidori. So not like a, I mean, you are trying to take knockouts. What a control deck is, as I said, is like kind of blurry. But you see the Salvatore combo with these two Pokemon, notably Bronzong, which allows you to evolve turn one going second, and then you use your attack here, which like it does some damage, but then it stops them from evolving, which is obviously super good. If they're an evolution deck and you can't evolve, then you kind of just lose. I mean, you do have TM Evolution, and you probably don't just lose. You probably have some other options that are like kind of okay. It kind of depends on the deck, but that's interesting there. And then you also have Noivern EX, which walls basic Pokemon. So if you're against basics, you use Noivern. If you're against evolutions, you use the Bronzong there. Then we have this from. Oh, I saw this deck as well. This one's super weird. This is Team Rocket's Zapdos. I again have not really played with this. I don't think. I'm not sure, but your attack here for 2 colors, you do 30, moving an energy attached to your opponent's active to one of their bench Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie, this deck seems kind of worse than the LGM. Like this card, I mean, you do have another attack here, which allows you to do 60 or 120 here if it does Team Rocket's energy attached, which presumably it does. You also see the Frost Slashes to do more damage here. It's like kind of a weird combo though. Well, no, it's actually a very weird combo. You got some other disruption cards as well. This is like a wacky deck. I saw this a while ago, and it's like I kind of want to talk about this, but I don't really know what to say. It seems kind of weird here. Then we see more and more Wugtrio, more like other control stuff that we'd seen before as well. Again, you see like these Milotics and Smite X's. Milotic plus Smite X or other. Trapping is really good. Milotic stops Scoop Up, so it stops Turret Scenario. Turret Scenario can be a big detriment to you. Also, doing point out Cyrano here. Cyrano's a supporter that I think is a bit more well known by now. It's like one of those like tier 2 supporters or whatever. Played in some different decks. You see it in like EV Box or like Enzoric EX mainly, and we see Enzoric EX here again. It's very good with Enzoric EX specifically. It's also pretty good with the EV Box stack because it gets like the basic EV EX and it does some different things, but it gets 3 EXs, puts them into your hand, which is cool here because of course you play a bunch of EXs. You have Pheasant Dipty EX for draw, which is good. You also have Enzoric EX, which is permanent draw throughout the course of the game, and Enzoric EX is better than something like Pheasant Dipty EX. I don't know if it's better, but it's like compared to regular decks, it shines more because it allows you to draw cards throughout the course of the game. Unlike, as I said, Pheasant Dipty EX, where the game's going to be longer. You can only get knocked out so many times. Pheasant Dipty can't be used more than 5 times in a game, like ever, unless I mean, I guess it could theoretically with like some really weird game, but presumably that's not what's happening here. But actually, that gives me an interesting idea. I always love doing this videos because sometimes I get funny ideas. You could do something like with the I don't know, there's some Pokemon that don't give up prizes when knocked out, but still get knocked out. Then you could use Pheasant Dipty EX when you're not knocked out, use it like extra turns. Not that that seems super good, but it seems kind of funny. But then you do have Spite Ops EX as well, but you have Enzoric EX, which is like drawing cards from your supporter, which you want to do with your supporter anyways, and also sets you up. So that's pretty cool there. We also see Klefki, another ability lacking Pokemon. We also see in this deck, this is kind of funny, we got the Altaria here. There's like so many one-ups. This deck list is super small because there's it's big. It's been shrunk down to fit on the page. So you see some really wacky stuff here. But you see Altaria EX for healing. You also see Festival Grounds for West Festival Grounds too. It does recovers Pokemon from the special conditions with special energy attached, which is kind of funny. I believe it's here from Monkey Dory. I'm not actually 100% sure though. But I think that's what it's here for, which is like kind of interesting. Seems like kind of sketchy as well, but seems kind of funny as well. Lots of, again, kind of weird stuff going on here. Then we see Miss Magius, which I believe moves energy across your opponent's board. Wait a second. Miss Magius, I believe, has an on-play ability here. Yeah, you move an energy from your opponent's active to the bench, right? It's like the kind of like the LGM, like the handheld fan, which you see in the list, like the Team Rocket Zapdos, which you also see in this list. And then what you want to do here, oh, you move energy around, and then you can also have a lot of energy on your opponent's board to just like do big damage with. I think Magazone, which I believe it does damage based Magazine EX, which does damage attached to all your opponent's Pokemon. Kind of a funny win condition there. Definitely kind of weird deck. I mean, they're all kind of weird. This one's very weird. And then you can use the new Miss Magius, or not the new Miss Magius, the old Miss Magius with the new item card here. Well, no, it's not here, but I believe it's down in Japan, which is the Suspicious Clock or whatever it's called, letting you devolve it and then play it again to evolve it, which is kind of fun there. And I don't know if there's too much else to see in these decks. I mean, you got like some weird combos of different cards. We got Titan EX here, which is like kind of funny, just like as a big tanking Pokemon here. It has like a lot of HP and takes less damage. So that's just like that's what it is. And then you also have the Ethan Sudowoodo, which you have fighting energy on, and then you have the is it Whiskash? No, it's not. What's that Pokemon called? I'm blanking on it. I'm gonna find this one. Oh, it is Whiskash. Okay. Yeah, this Pokemon generally is not very good, but this card is a really funny card that is a milling card here. For each fighting attached to it, you mill the top card of your opponent's deck, and you can use Reversal Energy and also like basic fightings and just mill a bunch all at once. It's not very good because like you're using it once, and I mean it's like good for that one turn, but it's better to just probably use something um like Wugtrio every turn, but this is like a more setup-y, combo-y win condition style deck. It's kind of weird, but I've seen decks like this. Like there was a Sunscorch deck I think featured on the Tricky Gym channel a while ago. Actually, a really funny watch. For like the moment it happens, it's a funny combo. Not as much of a fun play deck, but a more funny watch deck. And yeah, it's funny. This isn't like super good. I saw this with like Lugia, and then I believe due to like when it was I don't know. It came out like later than I thought it was going to come out. But anyways, it's like funny here, leading to some funny mill stuff. We also do see Relicanth in a lot of different decks here. And oh, apparently this is this the strategy pool energy into Holzilla? Is that no Hulkzilla? I guess that's the Satitan there. So you can get the energies on there. Yeah, and then you use Scramble Switch here. I hope other ones haven't done notes like this, which I missed. But you can use Scramble Switch to get the energies on the one Pokemon and it like tanks, and then you can move it to another Pokemon there. Those are the universal energies. You cannot attack with the Titan EX, unfortunately. But then we have this list with Relicanth. Nothing too crazy, but we do have Relicanth or Relicanth, which lets you use the previous evolution attack here, which I believe the Tarantula. There we go. It's like, what's the name of this Pokemon? Lets you it traps, right? We've seen a lot of cards like this, and I think I covered it in my every Pokemon's best card series. Which, by the way, make sure you leave a like on this video, but leave a like on that video as well, because once I reach a certain like goal, if there's enough interest, then I'll make the next series. Currently there's not, so I'm not doing it, but I might get back to that. I will if we get enough likes. But then we see what is that's to you. This has some more out there arts, which makes it harder for me to recognize, but nothing too crazy there. We got Team Rocket's Arbok access and ability locking. Well, no, it stops your opponent from playing Pokemon with abilities. It doesn't stop them from using them. They can't play them at all. Theoretically really good if we can get off quickly, but it's like hard to do. Also, we see like a lot of TMs. Oh, so I guess the idea is to TM Devolution them. Then they're not gonna be able to get their Pokemon with abilities on the board. Overall, I don't think there's too much else going on with control. I mean, there's like lots of different walls, lots of different trapping Pokemon, lots of different weird disruption Pokemon. We see Armor Rouge, Wugtrio, Team Rocket Spidops. That seems bad. Yeah, I think we're getting old now. I don't think the current standard cards are legal because like, why do you be jumping through all these hoops to pull off this like crazy combo when you could just like attach energy, right? But anyways, there's a lot of really funny control decks. Tell me down below in the comments if you play control. I'd say it's definitely worth trying out once or twice. Playing against it is kind of weird, but if you understand how to play it, or at least kind of know how to play it, then it's very useful. Even just like watching this video, you'll definitely gain some knowledge on how to beat this deck. Even if it's not obvious, once you play against it, you'll like think, oh, well, they're playing these cards and they're not playing these other cards. Like they're not trying to knock me out that much, so I don't need to worry about it that much. Like this list here, this one with like Mikidorus and Corsair Master Oripon EX and Mimikyu was a major Pokemon. You're like, oh, well, I'm worried about Mimikyu, but I don't need to do like 300 damage because I'm just never going to need to do that. So, kind of think those things through. Don't overcommit, but kind of just, I don't know, try it out. Sometimes it gets frustrating because the gameplay can lead to just like being stuck in the active for a while and just slowly losing. that overall it can be fun as well, and it is fun to talk about in my opinion. But tell me down below your thoughts on these different decks, if you enjoy them, if you don't enjoy them. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as always, we said, see you in the next video.